A very good afternoon to one and all who has joined us in the second session of part two of this online faculty development program, which is sponsored by All India Council for Technical Education and organized by Ballarpur Institute of Technology, Ballarpur. On this third day of faculty development program, in the second session, I welcome our honorable guest, Mr. Akhilesh Rai. Mr. Akhilesh Rai has more than 10 years of experience in the IT industry. He has started his journey in the IT industry after being hired by TCS, that is Tata Consultancy Services, in the campus interviews. He was designated as an implementation expert in TCS. He then led the implementation of TCS Treasury product for three domestic banks as an implementation expert. In the year 2016, he joined Hunar TechWorks Consulting, a Pune-based IT firm, as a business analyst. Since then, he was promoted several times and now he continues to work in the capacity of senior business consultant in Hunar TechWorks. His primary job is to understand the client problem statement, conceptualize and strategize solution, lead and deliver and implement, and finally hand over the solution. He has been doing this successfully in the IT division of clients across globe. These include Amsterdam, Netherlands, Paris-based Ingenico ePayments, Indonesia-based XL Axiata, India-based Airtel, and so on and on. He considers his experience in the European IT industry very vital for his professional growth. As per him, the change in work environments due to the change in the cities like Amsterdam, Paris, and Asian cities like Jakarta and Delhi is very curious in nature. Such change guides us for the near future. Akhilesh sir, we are really happy and consider this as an excellent opportunity to connect with the IT fraternity today. So let us make the most of this session. And I will now request Akhilesh sir to please start the session. Akhilesh sir, over to you, please.
Namaste and good evening to all. Thanks a lot, Abhijit sir, for that humble introduction. Good evening to all the participants who has joined. I'm really honored to be included in this session because, as mentioned in my introduction, I completed my engineering in the year 2010, and then I went on to different jobs in the IT industry. So coming back to the faculty and helping understand how the market is working and what can be done in the engineering, that would actually help improve the students' quality or the hiring percentage for colleges. I think that is something very relevant and very fulfilling as well. So thank you for having me. I hope I'm just reconfirming, Abhijit sir, my screen is visible, right? You can see the deck?
Yes, sir, the screen is visible.
Okay.
And we can see the deck.
Okay, thanks a lot. So basically what today we'll try to understand in this session is what is the future of Indian market as opposed to what is happening in the Western market. When I said Western markets, we are talking about European or US IT market as such. Then what is the current position of Indian market? Where do we actually stand as opposed to the future? What is the new bare minimum requirements that are actually required seen by companies these days in the students, and what all are the X factors or those factors which would help the students stand out in the crowd or the colleges to stand out in the pool of different colleges, and how these can be achieved. Towards the end, we'll try to understand some of the opportunities. A quick glance, it's a big topic within itself, but we'll just try to show or understand what all opportunities are there right now in the system. So basically, this debate is quite age-old. Everyone, talks about this, be it the education industry or be it the market or the jobs industry. There is this gap between the theory that is being taught and the practicality of the jobs. So I think the best example, since almost everyone one of us has gone through these kind of debates or at least heard someone speaking on this, so I'll just try to put it from a different perspective. It is based on a case study in the year 2004. So basically, Mr. Vivek Joshi, who used to work in Tata Indicom, which was the telecom company at that time, he was recruited in Tata Indicom for a job profile after he cleared his engineering. The job profile was pretty simple, that you are being recruited as an engineer and you have a particular skill set, and you would be expected to go sit on a desk or do some kind of job which would be very relevant for your technical expertise. However, uh, when Vivek Joshi actually appeared for the job and they started going through the things, and he got absorbed into the Tata Indicom culture and all the system that was being run there, slowly they came to there came up a particular situation wherein they understood that towers had to be erected in particular villages on a particular highway so that Tata Indicom can ensure that the network is available on those places. Now the challenge was how to do that, and the team on ground wasn't able to fill up that particular challenge. So Mr. Vivek Joshi actually decided that he would himself visit the particular location and try and understand what is the ground reality of the situation. So when he reached there, he understood that the village wherein they are trying to erect a particular tower is quite distant from the city. It is far away on the highway. On top of that, people are not readily cooperating. So basically, when they went there, they understood that they need to have a particular dependable business partner. When we say business partner, someone with whom they can enter into a contract that they would erect towers in their particular on their particular lands, against which a particular amount would be paid to them on monthly basis. So the first challenge that came was how to find dependable business partners. Now, when they try to look for people, the first thing that they came across was people were even afraid to talk to them, because that was how companies were perceived in those days. Well, they decided, they somehow found out some people, with the help that it would help them pay and all those things. And once that was done, they decided that, okay, we'll enter into an agreement, and documents were sent. Documents were sent by the company to Mr. Vivek Joshi, which then he had to go to the people and get those signed. The people in the village were so afraid that they were not ready to sign or put their thumb on those documents. उन लोगों का previous experience ही ऐसा था कि they were not so readily cooperating in all this process. On top of that, they did not have any bank accounts, because it's a company, private company. They won't be able to pay in cash. The rule or the legality mentioned that the amount should be directly credited to the bank. So these people, they did not even have a bank account, and they were not ready to sign or put their thumb on any kind of documents. So the problem statement shifted. Now Mr. Vivek Joshi forgot all his technicalities, all the technical capabilities that he had. All he had to do was ensure that at least they can start up with this particular job. So then how this was done? They first went and looked for the sarpanch of the village. They interacted with them. They again found out new people who were cooperating to some extent. They also tried to find an ally. So there were some government banks. उस उन्हीं विलेजेस के आसपास कुछ गवर्नमेंट बैंक्स भी थी जिन लोगों को वहां पर कस्टमर बेस बनाना था. So they were also looking for people to come up, sign, and create accounts. So Indicom, those banks, and Sarpanch, they they hosted some events, and they created a good atmosphere in that particular area, and they developed some level of credibility so that people would agree to these kind of contracts. And when people agreed, then those accounts were opened, and then those first checks were deposited. Now Mr. Vivek Joshi thought that, okay, everything is done, and he goes back to his place. Again, within a month's time, he gets another call. So just to give a brief on how this works is in the field is, जब आप कोई टॉवर इरेक्ट करते हैं तो उसमें जो स्क्रू बनता है उसका जो स्पेसिफिकेशन होता है वो भी इतना प्रिसाइज होता है कि अगर वो पर्टिकुलर स्क्रू अवेलेबल होना बंद हो जाता है तो एंटायर एक्टिविटी स्टॉप्स, बिकॉज ऑल दोज थिंग्स आर सो इंटरडिपेंडेंट कि अगर एक पर्टिकुलर डिपार्टमेंट आगे नहीं जा पा रहा है तो दूसरे डिपार्टमेंट्स भी आगे नहीं जा पाते, तो आपका सारा काम ठप हो जाता है। एंड देयर पीपल ब्लीड मनी ऑन डेली बेसिस, ऑन आवरली बेसिस। वहां पर ऐसा नहीं होता है कि एक महीने का इतना नुकसान हुआ, दे काउंट देयर मनी वेस्टेज इन आवरली बेसिस कि एक घंटे में हम लोगों ने इतने लाख में पैसे वेस्ट किए क्योंकि काम नहीं हो पाया। दैट इज द रियलिटी ऑफ द सिचुएशन। सो नाउ ही गेट्स अ कॉल एंड देयर टीम सेज इज कि सर आज हम लोगों को यहाँ पर कोई उस लैंड पे जाने ही नहीं दे रहा है, दे आर नॉट अलाउिंग अस टू क्लाइंब दैट पर्टिकुलर टॉवर और दैट पर्टिकुलर एरिया वेयर इन द कंस्ट्रक्शन इज गोइंग ऑन। सो मिस्टर विवेक जोशी देन अगेन रीचेज द, मतलब अपना हाथ का सारा काम छोड़ देते हैं एंड देन ही अगेन रीचेज दैट पर्टिकुलर लोकेशन एंड ट्राइज टू अंडरस्टैंड। सो देर आर डिफरेंट थिंग्स दैट आर कमिंग अप। कुछ लोग बोल रहे हैं कि इससे हमारे खेत में चिड़िया आना कम हो गया है, सो वी डू नॉट वांट दैट। इससे कैंसर होता है हम लोगों को पता चला है, सो वी डू नॉट वांट दैट। सम आर सेइंग दैट सामने के खेत में दूसरी की कंपनी ने टॉवर खड़ा किया एंड दे आर पेइंग 10,000 इंस्टेड ऑफ 8,000। So this difference might seem very small today, but in the year 2003 and 2004, it was a big deal, especially for people from villages. So these kind of things come up. So basically now he has to also beat the competition, or he has to solve all these problems also. ये सब प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व होने के बाद आफ्टर वंस अगेन व्हेन दे कम टू अ हैप्पी सॉल्यूशन, वेयर इन द वर्क रिज्यूम्स, द चैलेंज इज फॉर ऑल दिस टू वर्क आउट, मिस्टर विवेक जोशी हैज टू टेक ऑल सेट्स ऑफ अप्रूवल्स। उनको अपने बॉस के लिए, उनके लीगल, इंडिकॉम का जो लीगल डिपार्टमेंट है वो, कस्टमर एक्विजिशन डिपार्टमेंट जो है वो, दे हैव टू रीच ऑल दिस डिपार्टमेंट्स अगेन, विच देन रेज अ क्वेश्चन कि आप पिछली बार आए थे, आपने ये डिटेल्स दिए थे एंड यू सेड दैट द पर्सन अग्रीड ऑन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, देन व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम नाउ? सो टू एक्सप्लेन दीज थिंग्स टू देम कि 2000 के लिए हम लोग फिर से केस करेंगे और हम लोग कस्टमर बेस भी लूज करेंगे एंड वी लूज दैट क्रेडिबिलिटी ऑल्सो। तो ये सब एक्सप्लेन करना, एट द सेम टाइम ही हैज टू एंश्योर कि उनका रैपो और उनका जो इम्प्रेशन है अपनी कंपनी में वो भी डिस्टर्ब नहीं होना चाहिए, बिकॉज आफ्टर ऑल वी आर ऑल डूइंग दिस फॉर कंपेंसेशन मॉनेटरी गेन्स। अगर इतनी मेहनत करने के बाद ईयर एंड पे वी आर नॉट गेटिंग गुड कंपेंसेशन, then that is also discouraging. So he has to maintain all these things. So not only customer base, but to manage your own company people as well, and different people from different departments. So all these things Vivek Joshi had to resolve. None of these things were mentioned in the job profile. None of these things were actually mentioned in the job profile. So this is the difference between the theory that we learn in engineering colleges and the practicality of the job nature. एंड दिस इज अक्रॉस इंडस्ट्रीज, मतलब आप आईटी इंजीनियर हो या मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर हो या फिर आप किसी, इवन व्हेन people are in teaching industry, it is the job is not only to teach. I think everyone can relate. There are other things that come up. One such example would be this event as well. So these kind of things keep coming up, and the profile keeps changing, or the problem statement keeps changing, and we have to ensure that we rise up to the situation and we provide a solution, because at the end of the day, result would be something that company is looking for. So I consider myself with that example. Now we will dive into the actual topic that we have, that is where does Indian market stand as opposed to the European market. So currently in the European market, everyone is being paid by projects and on hourly basis. So everyone is an individual contributor. It's not like, companies would visit a particular campus and there will be kids who would be hired in huge numbers. Instead, students have to apply, and when they join those companies, or even laterals, when they join those companies, they are being paid for projects and on hourly basis. The requirement is also changing from technical people or functional people to techno-functional people and people who are actually interested in solving problems, who are innovative to come up with solutions which are result oriented. At the same time, when you are doing all these things, there are people who are coming from different backgrounds, from different colleges, from different parts of European Union, or let's say even different states of US. And that is the reason the expectation is that these individuals or professionals should be strong team players, and at the same time they should be process oriented as well. Then there is this concept of flat management, where in all the hierarchy that we usually see that there is a lead, then there is a technical architect, and then the technical architect reports to the project manager. The project manager then reports to accounts manager reports to the client manager, client relationship manager, who then reports to the client actually. So this is now being phased out. Now the concept is of flat management, because everyone is an individual contributor. हर कोई एक particular level of management को direct report करता है. So they have cut all this hierarchy that is there of middle management. They try to report directly to the higher management. Now, because of this, the students are also expected that they have good exposure of all these conditions, because they are going to interact with senior management. It is expected that they understand how these interactions happen. It is expected that they should be able to express their opinion, and they should come up with solutions and explain those opinions solutions more importantly. Towards the end, everyone is looking for result oriented performance and whether they have good return on investment, because when someone hires in the European Union, although it is for a project and on hourly basis, they're at the same time assessing the students or their professionals whether they can enter into more contracts or more projects with them. So they are all the time they are scanning, all the time they are monitoring their performance and their behavior and their delivery method throughout the project. So as opposed to
Sir,
yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt,
yeah,
but I had few queries in the last slide that you,
okay,
if you please take us there. Yes. Well, sir, you have written here a word techno-functional. Right?
yeah,
So techno-functional is something that we would want to understand with the help of an example. You said
okay.
that there is more demand of techno-functional profiles these days
Hmm.
than individual expertise. So what do you understand by techno-functional? If you please explain with the help of an example.
Okay, so techno-functional, as the terminology mentions, that it is mix of technical understanding and functional knowledge. So when we say technical understanding, it is the technical know-how, like you should know particular languages like Python, R, or Java, or whichever is relevant for that particular project or that particular industry. Even if it is let's say mechanical industry, then you should know about the automations and other things. Functional relates to the functionality or the domain expertise. When we say domain expertise, so let's say you are working in payments industry, yeah. So for payments industry, you need to know what is the flow of data for a particular payment. So let's say when you swipe your card, you should understand to which all points that information goes to, and how that amount is deducted, how that particular client or the merchant is intimidated that the amount has been credited to their account, and how an acknowledgement is sent to us by the bank that this much amount has been debited from your card. So there is a standard process wherein there are of course regulatory requirements also. So functionality refers to this kind of understanding, wherein you understand that how a particular domain or a transaction takes place, what all steps are there. So techno-functional. Now the challenge that industry faced for years was how to bridge the gap between the technical professionals and the domain experts. Because when domain experts jump into the process of project development, they have their own jargons. ठीक है, वो अपनी भाषा में बात करते हैं. ठीक है, उनके लिए सब्सक्राइबर अलग होता है. लेट्स से इफ वी टॉक अबाउट टेलीकॉम इंडस्ट्री, उनके लिए सब्सक्राइबर अलग होता है, उनके लिए कस्टमर अलग होता है, ठीक है। तो वो लोग जब रिक्वायरमेंट देंगे या फिर वो लोग जब रिपोर्टिंग करेंगे तो वो लेट्स से रिपोर्टिंग करेंगे कि हमारे आज के तारीख में इतने इतने मिलियन कस्टमर्स हैं। लेकिन जब एक टेक्निकल बंदा उसको देखता है तो ही डज नॉट अंडरस्टैंड कस्टमर, सब्सक्राइबर और समथिंग एल्स। उसको इतना समझ में आता है कि इतने बंदे आपके एप्लीकेशन में प्रेजेंट है। So immediately that technical person then says, no, not these many millions, but in fact you have 4 million more people. So then there is a gap because फंक्शनल बंदा जिसको कस्टमर मान रहा है और टेक्निकल बंदा जिसको कस्टमर मान रहा है, उसका डेफिनेशन अलग है। फॉर फंक्शनल और डोमेन गाय द डेफिनेशन माइट बी कि जो सब्सक्राइबर पेमेंट कर चुका है, जिसकी तरफ से रेवेन्यू जनरेट हुआ है, ठीक है, खाली वही कस्टमर है, बाकी सिर्फ सब्सक्राइबर हैं फिलहाल के लिए। उन्होंने सिर्फ सब्सक्राइब किया है बट दे हैवंट पेड, so they are not generating any kind of revenue. But for technical person, if the person exists, if that particular subscriber exists in the system, then that's it, that person is the customer. So ye jo differences hai, this is very simple and basic example I gave. Of course there are lot of complexity and lot of even simple and silly things which are missed or misinterpreted by people. So there is a huge rise in the techno-functional area wherein these professionals are responsible to bridge the gap between technical teams and the domain expertise or the functional team that is there. So they will understand the requirement from the functional team. They will convert it into a language or documents which can be understood by the technical team. And then those documents will be shared and sessions would be taken up. Okay. So to give an example, even for this session, okay, there is a market, there is a industry, you know, which is offering jobs, and on the other end we have the education industry. But we are having all these sessions to understand how we can improve to bridge the gap between these two, how to meet the demands of the market, and how to improvise our supply. Okay. So this is, you know, another example of techno-functional role. So these are the people who bring two departments or two set of people together and help understand each other to reach to a common goal. So that is your techno-functional. So to give additional examples of these days, you might have heard about business analysts, then data engineers, then data scientists. All these are techno-functional roles. These are the people who look into the data, convert it into information, and then present it to the management or the domain people so that they can make informed decisions about the company. So these are just few examples of techno-functional roles. Does that resolve the question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That answers the question very well. And
Okay.
there was one more thing that you mentioned, sir, that in Europe you said that these days they are not, when the students are being offered jobs and all, it is not like the companies are visiting campus on a regular basis that they used to do earlier. You said that it is rather that they are hiring only for the projects.
Yeah.
So because we are from this college and because we are working for the students who are very much interested and we would like to know that, is there any way that the students can apply for such projects while they are studying also?
Could you repeat the last one?
Is there any way that the students can apply for these projects even
Mhm.
while studying in engineering?
Even while they're studying in their engineering. So are you asking like if students from India can apply, or you are asking about students from the European universities itself?
Both subjects.
Okay, so I think Indian students can apply from perspective of internships and all, but in European market, this particular culture of hiring students during their final year and during their third year, if we talk about engineering, then third year or so, uh, this culture already exists there. So they ensure that they can groom the students from the start of it, and when they enter the company they have a particular skill set. Of course students also have to exhibit those kind of qualities. They should come up with good practical projects to present the companies so that they can prove themselves that they have a particular level of technical understanding. At the same time they understand how the company also works, or how the domain also works. So these additional things, which we will be talking as X factor in our today's session, these are there which are helping the European students also to get placed into the companies. In fact, many Indian students who go abroad and all, they have a lot of projects during their higher studies, and they actually come up with very practical and projects which are live. Like you can actually visit their websites, you can actually go and see the application in a working condition.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
So I suppose I have been talking for the last 15 minutes and explaining how the European market works. How about Indian market? What is the understanding of the current faculty? How is it working? आपको क्या लगता है कि companies जो hire कर रही है बच्चों को, when they hire, like when say TCS comes in many colleges, they will hire 100 or 150 students, and other many such companies. What do you think is the scenario of Indian market when it comes to it? You think that these students are directly absorbed into projects, या उनको पहले ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है? What does the faculty think about it? और उनका क्या experience है अपने students के साथ? You can also, like, you can unmute yourself and mention, or you can also mention it in the chat.
Yeah, sure. All the faculty members are requested to please, you can unmute yourself and talk directly to the resource person. The question that he has asked is, what is your experience and what do you think happens when companies hire people in India? Like after the students are selected, are they given training and then they get into the project, or do they directly get into the project? What is your experience with that? You can unmute yourself and ask to the speaker directly, or you can always type or share your opinion or share your experience in the chat box. Participants are requested to be at least a bit interactive. Whatever is your experiences, you can simply share it. If not directly, then at least in the chat box, we can always share our experience.
I think we can even simplify the question. क्या आपको लगता है कि कंपनीज आजकल ट्रेनिंग्स दे रही है जब वो स्टूडेंट्स को हायर करती है? A simple
Okay.
yes or no would suffice in your experience.
तो अगर आप लोगों को लगता है कि कंपनीज ट्रेनिंग्स दे रही हैं अभी भी हायर करने के बाद, तो आप चैट बॉक्स में लिख सकते हैं यस। अगर आपको लगता है कि नहीं दे रही है, तो आप लिख सकते हैं नो। तो यू कैन डू दैट। Well, I would share my experience, sir. My
Yeah.
experience suggests that most of the time when the companies they hire, like you mentioned, TCS and all, our experience says that, at least our previous experience suggests that students, once they are hired, they are usually given trainings for at least 1 or 2 months,
Hmm.
and later on they get an opportunity to work on some project, which when they work on, it may not be very, it may not be very relevant with the trainings that they have taken, but then first they will face the trainings and then they get an opportunity to.
Yeah, yeah. So very true, Abhijit sir. Thank you for that. So the same thing even happened with me. We were trained in Java and mainframes when we got hired, and later on I was placed into a treasury product as an implementation team member. Okay, so it had nothing to do with the Java that I learned or mainframe that I learned. So, but that scenario right now is changing quite a lot. So right now, what's happening is the Indian market is trying to match the European market. So we are trying to capture all these developed methodologies that the European market or the US market already has, and we are trying to implement it. This is not blindly. We'll understand why so, because market is changing very rapidly in India now. We have realized कि Indian market within itself is so huge and there is so much money available that all our students can be really really well placed and make good money. At the same time, the talent is also available within the country. So our story is not like other markets कि हम लोगों को दूसरे कॉन्टिनेंट से बच्चों को या फिर प्रोफेशनल्स को बुलाना पड़ेगा. We ourselves have a big market and we ourselves have a supplier of good professionals for that particular market. Okay, so many people initially also resisted this, but it is already showing up. So to just have a short story again, we'll try to relate it to something that has happened in the past. So in the year 2010, on the screen that you're seeing, the left hand side graph, in the year 2010, there was only 6,139 rupees billion of investment in mutual funds assets, and people were really afraid to invest. Many people had a lot of reservations कि ये पैसा कहाँ जाएगा, क्या होगा. In fact, we can see that in the year 2012 there was a fall in that particular amount of investment. But if you see year 2018, the amount has the amount has gone up in an exponential manner. It is now 21,360 rupees billion in just mutual funds. So this is because the choice of the people or the market is driven like that. So no matter how many such thoughts are being put in the market कि ये तो सही नहीं है, या फिर this is not the traditional way of working, or this is very risky, or this is not the current trend. The trend is formed over a particular time, and that is what we are seeing on the screen. Now, are we only following the trend? So there is a difference in this, that we are not only following the trend. And why so the second graph, if you see, it is the comparison of what is the India's investment into mutual funds compared to the world's investment and other countries investment. And we can see that India is catching up with the overall world's investment. So that means we are an emerging market leader in that particular area. And that is what is going to happen for jobs market as well. Right now, we are just trying to catch up with the trend, but eventually we will become the main market and we would become the leaders for this particular market. The drivers for this particular market are, of course, we all know पैसे से पैसा बनता है, but then how it works. So if you go and try to get money, money will always look for return on investments. These return of investments, of course, then come from market demand. So market में अगर demand ही नहीं है, तो कोई पर्टिकुलर इन्वेस्टर आपके कंपनी में बोलो या फिर आपके प्रोफेशनल्स में बोलो, दे वोंट इन्वेस्ट. बेसिकली दे कंपनीज वोंट कम टू द कॉलेज, कंपनीज वोंट कम टू हायर किड्स इन द कॉलेज. So there is a big demand in the market, and that is why a lot of jobs are generated, and these jobs are coming up with particular skill set. The twist now is this skill set is being set by project. पहले there was a reason for hiring in numbers. Government used to give a lot of subsidies to cover companies and all that. If you have this number of headcount in your company, then the government will give a lot of subsidies. So all these players were really valued, especially when these companies would go abroad. जब वो बाहर जाकर अपनी कंपनी का नाम पिच करते थे किसी प्रोजेक्ट के लिए, तो दे कुड ऑलवेज से कि हमारे पास फ्रेशर्स का लेट्स से 1500 बच्चों का पूल है, so we can easily meet your market demands. Now what has happened is that market demand has been shifted to the Indian market itself, और उसकी वजह से स्किल सेट बहुत पास में आ गया है. सो वॉट एवर मार्केट इज डिमांडिंग or whatever the projects are demanding, that particular skill set has become relevant directly to the students. So as long as there is no project, there is no money involved. So where does the Indian market currently stands? We can see on the screen what was Byju's revenue, how Vedantu is growing, and how White Hat Junior also is growing. So why does anyone think that such kind of impressive growth is seen for these private players right now? जबकि इन लोगों का पोर्टफोलियो बहुत छोटा है. दे आर दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कोडिंग, दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट वेरी स्पेसिफिक स्किल सेट. तो फिर ऐसा क्यों है कि इन लोगों के जो यूजर्स है या फिर इन लोगों को जो ऑप्ट करने वाले बच्चे हैं या यंग बच्चे हैं रादर, दे आर opting in huge numbers with these particular private players? Why do you think that is happening? Can anyone just make a guess कि मे बी वो ट्रेंड फॉलो कर रहे हैं इसीलिए कर रहे हैं, या फिर दे आर गेटिंग टू लर्न अ पर्टिकुलर स्किल सेट इसीलिए कर रहे हैं?
Sir, I think that everybody has very high expectations, especially the parents. They have very high expectations of their children these days,
Yes.
and because of that, they are they just want maybe. I should not. I mean, it won't be very appropriate, but I think that in a way we can say that the parents they expect so much from their children that
Yeah.
they want to make a Superman out of them. Sometimes we feel.
That's very that's very true. Although it is a, different topic for discussion, yeah. But even when we see that parents want their kids to be Superman, why do you think is the need exists? Why Superman is required?
Because these days everybody has very high expectations and everybody wants to achieve the maximum possible is what I can.
Yeah. To put in other words, the competition is high, right? Is that what you are trying to say?
Competition and expectations also.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think both kind of go hand in hand. But the real, like if we talk about the technicality of this whole scenario and keep the psychological angle aside, and we try to keep the expectations and those things aside, the main reason currently we are seeing growth is because these are relevant to the market demands. When these companies reach the parents or reach the students, they are talking about giving them jobs when they learn these skill sets. They are not only saying that okay, you learn and then okay, tata bye bye. No, they will ensure that students understand the relevance of it. वो ये बताएंगे कि आज मार्केट में इतने इतने लाख बच्चों की ज़रूरत है जिन लोगों को पाइथन आता है. सो इट गिव्स एन अश्योरिटी, इट गिव्स अ काइंड ऑफ श्योरिटी कि आपको ये पर्टिकुलर स्किल सेट अचीव करने के बाद जॉब मिलेगा. At the same time, this model has been successfully implemented in developed countries. So companies like Amazon, Google, and all in US and Canada, they already hire students for their companies. Okay, initially they might be in limited capacity with limited number of hours, but once they graduate, they are immediately absorbed. So what's happening is what we are trying to avoid here is we accept these opportunities and we do not become a dinosaur which are irrelevant to the era, and then cause a particular phase out of the industry or a particular set of people in the industry. So we try to work with these opportunities and we ensure that these opportunities become our opportunities as well. So why we are sitting here is, on one side, I think I can represent the dynamic markets or the dynamic demands and needs of the markets, while all the participants, I think, are the makers and suppliers of the students. You are the people who actually develop the resources. You have all the methodology, all the infrastructure that is required for that. So how do we ensure that when these students are entering into the market or they are joining their jobs, how they are completely prepared for this? So on the screen, you are seeing that the projects, when we talk about project, what is required for a project to be successful? One thing shows skill set and domain expertise. So basically whatever is the requirement, let us say there is a project कि हम लोगों को एक payment system establish करना है, ठीक है? What do you think is the requirement for it to succeed? Would it be enough कि एक domain expertise होना चाहिए? So some people who understand कि बैंक्स कैसे काम करती है, कैसे अमाउंट ट्रांसफर होगा, क्या अकाउंटिंग पास होगी, ऑल दोज थिंग्स. And then there would be some people who have the technical skill set, who can develop an application, or who can develop an automated system which would read a card and complete the payment transaction. Do you think these things would help the project to be successful? I think this is a very simple yes and no question. You guys can unmute yourself and answer, or you can also put in the chat. कि टेक्निकल स्किल सेट और डोमेन एक्सपर्टीज रहा तो एक प्रोजेक्ट सक्सेसफुल हो सकता है. Okay, thank you for that input. What about others? Any opinion? Yes, no?
See, this is on behalf of all the organizing committee of this faculty development program. The participating faculty members should understand we have all of us, we have been teachers. And if we are sitting mute and if we are not going to answer anything in the chat box also, as simple answers as simple as yes or no, then it reflects upon, I should not say this, but it reflects upon us as faculty members, it reflects upon us as teachers as well. So it is a humble request that please be more interactive and please be a little bit participative. It has been a continuous request of all the speakers who have come to us. So please be interactive, at least a bit, please. Sir, I think we will skip this question and we will move on to the next slide, please.
Yes, so excellent. Thanks a lot for that. We have from Rose ma'am an answer that yes, along with proper funding. So if these things were good enough for projects to successful, to be honest, we would never see projects failing. ठीक है, क्योंकि जब कोई कंपनी प्रोजेक्ट्स निकालती है, दे ऑल्सो हैव द अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि बेसिक स्किल सेट और डोमेन एक्सपर्टीज के स्टूडेंट्स या प्रोफेशनल्स हम लोगों ने हायर किए, तो इट वुड वर्क. ठीक है. So if these were the basic minimum things which would help for a project to be successful, we would never see any project failing. So then what is it that is missing in this? What things are actually required in a particular student or a professional that the companies or projects are looking for these days, right? So basically the same thing, that if an IT engineer will be good at his job because he can write a code for Fibonacci series, or a CA would be a good CA because he has cleared the examination. Why is it then that even companies are paying differently? I mean, apart from funding, of course, हर किसी का project का budget अलग होता है, and that's why companies are paying a little differently. But then we have seen so many cases in the market these days that students are being hired at very high packages, or there is a big number of students which is being hired at big packages also. So why is it we pay more? So I think now I would speak from company perspective, because I myself sit into a lot of interview panels and all. So why is it that we are ready to pay more for a particular student when we interview them? So this is now, when we say projects, it is not just projects. We have lot of things or lot of stakeholders in the project. We have client, we have our own team, we have other vendors which are working in that project. We have the actual business of that project, which is again a part of client team. And then other stakeholders, people who have invested in the client and people who are invested in our company's funding also. So when we say projects, it is basically dealing with people. Okay, it is not just dealing with one particular requirement. It is about dealing with people. And when we talk about dealing with people, it brings in all the aspects of interpersonal skills, whether someone is a good team player, whether they can handle stress, whether they have good time management and change management within themselves. So the bare minimum, which was a technical skill set expected out of students, is rapidly changing, and all these other skill sets are expected within them, because these students are now directly being absorbed into projects. ट्रेनिंग के लिए बहुत कम टाइम दिया जाता है, और वो भी वेल एस्टेब्लिश्ड बड़ी कंपनियों में वो सब टाइम दिया जाता है. ठीक है. The small companies or the startup culture that we are seeing these days, they do not really have time कि वो बच्चे को हायर करें और उसके बाद उन लोगों को 3 महीने का ट्रेनिंग दे और उसके बाद उन लोगों को किसी प्रोजेक्ट में एब्सॉर्ब करें. That is not how it works, and that is why we are seeing a trend that startup companies, when they come to college, वो बड़ी कंपनीज से थोड़ा सा कम पैकेज रखते हैं, बट विद इन 1 year's टाइम देयर इंक्रीमेंट इज रियली गुड इफ यू हैव परफॉर्म्ड रियली वेल, बिकॉज यू आर डायरेक्टली रेलिवेंट एंड एब्जॉर्ब्ड इन द प्रोजेक्ट. However, MNCs में या फिर आप बड़ी कंपनी में जाएंगे तो there is a cap on which you can you can actually make that particular progress or that amount of progress. So because of this new startup culture and being absorbed into the projects, the bare minimum has been shifted from only the technical know-how to the interpersonal skills, teamwork, stress management, time management, and change management. So we'll just try to understand now what all is the expectation actually when we say interpersonal skills and other skills. So the current mantra in the corporate is, if clients succeed, you succeed, or clients succeed, we succeed. Basically, when we are offering our services to a particular client, be it in the electrical department, or be it in the IT department or commerce department, अगर क्लाइंट वो प्रोजेक्ट सक्सेसफुली कंप्लीट करता है और क्लाइंट उस प्रोजेक्ट से पैसा बनाता है तो क्लाइंट सक्सीड होता है. एंड इफ ही और इफ द क्लाइंट सक्सीड्स देन दे वी सक्सीड बिकॉज वी गेट मोर प्रोजेक्ट्स फ्रॉम देम, क्योंकि जब क्लाइंट अपना बिजनेस एक्सपांड करता है तभी हमारे पास और नए प्रोजेक्ट्स आते हैं. सो सिमिलरली द वे वी सी कॉलेजेस these days is, if students succeed in getting a job, then college succeeds. Simple as that. After we teach for all the years, be it 4 years, 3 years, or 2 years, at the end, what is the main goal? That students should be able to land a respectable job. So if the student is succeeding in landing that job, then the college also succeeds. So in one way, students are the real clients of the college. This is something I think was really missing during our days of engineering, which now colleges should actually absorb and adapt as per that. That students are your real clients. If we help them succeed, automatically the college would be highlighted, automatically those professors would be highlighted, and more companies would like to approach them. Do we agree on this? Or is there any other opinion for this?
I guess, sir, that we can very easily agree on this.
Okay. Okay, thanks again from Professor Rose. Yes, thanks. Yes, if students would succeed, then colleges would definitely succeed. So let us understand how we can prepare students for all these things. When we say interpersonal skills, the basic things that are seen are students, or these basically students for you and professionals for us. Once they join our company, we consider them professional, and the expectation from them is also like professionals. We do not look at them like students. We do not think that okay, there will be a lot of time where he or she would be groomed and all. We expect that if we are paying, then they should be able to exhibit these particular set of qualities so that our project is successful, because we are ourselves working on very challenging timelines these days. So that particular professional or student should be an active listener. When we say active listener, they should be able to grasp the requirement. They should be able to sit in a meeting room along with different team members coming from different backgrounds, different parts of the country, and understand what is being discussed. That is what is active listener here means, that they should be able to understand what a particular individual is trying to explain. Then they should be proactive and not hesitant. Why this is important is, if a particular student is hesitant and they do not come up with their opinion or information on time, it can actually cause a delay in the delivery. And delay in delivery might seem very okay for the newly joined students, because they are in the habit of last time last moment assignment submission and all. But in the contracts that we sign with our clients, the penalty is as high as 1% or 2%. So when the project is of let's say 15 crores or 25 crores, उसमें अगर एक डिलीवरी लेट होने का पेनल्टी आपको 1% या 2% भी लगता होगा, तो वो बहुत बड़ा अमाउंट है कंपनी के लिए। और वो क्यों होता है? क्योंकि जब ये बच्चे स्टूडेंट्स जब प्रोजेक्ट्स में काम करते हैं, और जब प्रोजेक्ट में कोई सीनियर पूछता है कि आपको कोई चैलेंजेस है कि आपका काम करने में, that is the time when these students should speak up, but they do not, क्योंकि वो आदत नहीं होती है, they are hesitant। उन लोगों को ऐसा लगता है कि अगर मैं ये बोलूँगा या बोलूँगी कि मुझे ये पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट नहीं समझा है, या फिर ये पॉइंट मुझे नहीं सॉल्व करते आ रहा है, तो मेरा इम्प्रेशन खराब होगा, या फिर मैं इतने लोगों के सामने कैसे ये बताऊं कि मुझे ये पॉइंट नहीं समझा है। But when they do not say this, it is understood that okay, things are running smoothly। और फिर जब डिलीवरी का टाइम आता है या फिर जब टेस्टिंग का टाइम आता है, then we actually see the result that whatever task for that particular professional was to that particular professional was given is not completed. So
Sir,
it
I
is
think this is sorry to interrupt, but I think that this is really common problem with the students. Like
yeah,
students, when they will, even in the classrooms, when we ask them, I don't
yeah.
think that students they have many queries and they will raise many queries. As a matter of fact, I am very surprised that even in our session today, the faculty members are not really very interactive. I think that it is a quality that all of us we need to develop along with students. The teachers also need to be a bit interactive. So I
Yes, it actually does not really help to be hesitant. In a question might be silly, it might sound dumb or something like that, but when it is asked and it is answered, it definitely helps a lot of people. And when people start expressing their opinion, only then new perspectives are put up, and only then new solutions are created. So I think it is really important to be not hesitant and be more expressive, because only after such discussions value can be generated. So basically, if I sit here and I keep talking, not say for 2 hours but next 10 hours also, लेकिन मुझे अगर कुछ रिस्पॉन्स नहीं मिल पा रहा है, if I am not getting any feedback, or if I am not able to catch where this particular session is taking us, or whether it's actually benefiting, I'll keep repeating the same thing। मुझे पता ही नहीं चलेगा कि okay, some faculty is having some kind of challenge, or they have a question, or they want something to be changed। Let's say someone wants कि ये बहुत fast जा रहे हैं, they need it, make it a little slow, explain more with more examples or something like that। अगर वो होता है तभी आप value generate कर पाते हैं। Otherwise it's yes yes yes, and then on the last day we understand okay, the purpose is not really met। So I think we have established interpersonal skills here। Hope that in the coming slides we'll have more inputs. Even if it is a direct feedback, definitely we always welcome, because that is how we improve। We believe in taking feedback and improving ourselves. So teamwork, I think this is another very very important aspect that we are looking for these days, क्योंकि hiring जो होती है वो across country होती है। It is ensured that people from different culture, people from different backgrounds, people from different parts of the country or colleges are working together, okay? Because everyone has a different set of skill set and different set of potential or expertise। तो वी कैनॉट ऑलवेज हैव दैट ये बैच ने स्टूडेंट्स ने ज्वाइन किया है, अब यही दोस्तों के साथ बैठ के वो लोग काम करेंगे। दैट इज नॉट हाउ इट वर्क्स। when students are absorbed into a project, they have to work with a lot of people with, even there is a difference in the age। There might be some students who are post graduated, some are just graduated। Just a moment। So it is expected that the students work as a team and they understand the importance of we instead of I। When we have seen that when students join us, they will always run and they will ensure that they mention that okay, their job is finished, and it is like I have finished, I have finished, I have finished. However, this shows a very negative aspect, or this is taken really negative, because these days even when client appreciates, they appreciate the, mostly they will appreciate the entire team, because it is the team's effort. Each and everyone helps us in one or the other way. There will be a mentor who would guide us how something has to be done. There would be someone, you know, who is working at the same time helping us to understand some challenges that we are facing, that how these can be resolved based on their experience. There are people who are generating the requirements. So students or professional really need to understand that it is about we rather than I. Then within a team, the flexibility is also expected. I mentioned about the techno-functional roles that are coming up. So many students have this thing कि हम लोगों को core में जाना है, या फिर हम लोगों को सिर्फ development में ही रहना है, and these things. And this is limiting the students a lot. I am seeing in my own company, within my own teams, many professionals prefer to keep doing their their own small niche of expertise, and they are not ready to expand their horizon, and that is what is stunting their growth. एक level पे आके they just stop. There is no further growth for them because they are not ready to accept a bigger challenge. They are not ready to be flexible. And then it also translates into empathy. So empathy is something wherein we understand कि सामने वाले की क्या requirement है. So in this case, the empathy is towards the project, that what is it that the project requires. Because if we are not able to provide or suffice the requirements of the project, it is not going to be successful. So we have to ensure that we empathize with the project's requirement, and we work in a direction so that we are flexible enough to meet those requirements, so that more projects are coming to us. I think honesty, I really do not have to explain much, but it is really important, just like not being hesitant. Then there is concept of mutual accountability. So mutual accountability is, I explain it, something that is usually a statement that is usually used in the defense, that a team is only as strong as its weakest link. एक टीम उतनी ही स्ट्रांग है जितना उसका वीकेस्ट मेंबर स्ट्रांग है. फिर बाकी लोग कितने भी ज़्यादा स्ट्रांग रहेंगे, उससे ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. सो बेसिकली लेट्स से देयर इज़ अ टीम ऑफ 10 पीपल और 9 लोग बहुत स्ट्रांग है, लेकिन जो एक बंदा है उसने अपना काम नहीं किया, तो उस पर्टिकुलर प्रोजेक्ट की डिलीवरी टाइमलाइन मीट नहीं हो पाएगी, एंड देन दैट फाइन विल बी डेफिनेटली लेविड. ऐसा क्लाइंट ये नहीं बोलेगा कि चलो 9 लोगों ने किया, एक ने ही नहीं किया तो हम आप लोगों को फाइन नहीं करेंगे. दैट इज नॉट हाउ इट वर्क्स. So students really need to understand that they are mutually accountable for a particular delivery, which then makes them dependable. Once they start understanding and they start working as actually a team, we see that this person is dependable. So basically हम लोग अगर इसको कोई भी task देंगे, तो he will ensure, he will take all the accountability and he will deliver that particular task. That is called that is what is dependability that we are looking for. And then the last one is polite. Like I mentioned that students are coming from different backgrounds and all, so there is a level of politeness that is required, especially with the information and the social media that is out there, and so many narratives are being driven by people with agenda. We really have to make sure that we are polite enough to convey our point, and not hurt someone's feeling also. Any points to be, you have any doubts here, or any your experiences that you would like to mention, or something I can answer when it comes to teamwork? Okay. Okay, this is one of one of my favorites as well. How many here think that your students are stressed? I think this is something we will not go ahead unless and until we have a couple of answers. How many teachers present or faculty members present in this session think that their students are stressed? यस और नो फ्रॉम योर एंड। क्या आपको लगता है कि आपके बच्चों को ऐसा लगता है कि उन पे बहुत स्ट्रेस है कॉलेज का, असाइनमेंट्स का, या फिर जॉब मिलना चाहिए कंपनीज में? Yes, we have from Professor Shama and Professor Rose. Yes, students are stressed. Any other faculty members? Okay, so students are stressed, but to be honest, when I take my example, I don't think that when I thought that I am stressed in my engineering, that I was even aware of what real stress actually means. I really did not know. I'll just give you like the first experience that I got was in my own interview. So I did my engineering in electronics from YCC Nagpur, and we had a TCS interview going on. So everyone was talking about the HR. When the HR round came, everyone was talking about that there are two HR. One is very soft spoken. He is talking about psychological concepts कि आपको ये व्हाइट बोर्ड पे क्या दिख रहा है, वो जो ब्लैक डॉट है उस पे देखने के बाद आप क्या, आपके दिमाग में क्या विचार आ रहे हैं, एंड ऑल सच थिंग्स. And the other, everyone was knowing that if you enter in that particular person's cabin, you are destroyed, because students who were actually coming out from that particular cabin, were they seemed really stressed, and they were only saying one thing कि नहीं हो रहा है, यहाँ पे सिलेक्शन नहीं होने वाला है अपना. Many of the students were saying that. And then my opportunity came, and I was sitting outside the cabin. My friend was inside the cabin. His interview was going on. So when he came out, जब वो बाहर आया, we were wearing blazer especially for the interview day. Otherwise we would not wear. Nagpur is very hot like that. So एक हाथ में उसके ब्लेजर था, दूसरे हाथ में उसका उसने टाई पकड़ा था, और उसकी कॉलर खड़ी थी, उसके बाल वगैरह से खड़े हो चुके थे, एंड शर्ट की ऊपर की दो बटन्स ओपन थी. When he actually came out, he was like that, and he looked at me, and he only nodded like no, that it's done, and he left. So already I was little stressed, and then I was even further stressed that someone, as intelligent as him, because he used to perform really well in the examinations and in his assignments and everything. How come this guy is so stressed, or he's looking like this? And then I knocked on the door. मैंने दरवाजा खटखटाया, and I asked, "May I come in?" And the interviewer, he just nodded, and I went and stood in front of the table. So I just greeted him, "Good evening, sir." It was late evening actually by that 9:30 p.m. also, and I just greeted him, "Good evening, sir." Uh, so instead of replying in "Good evening," this guy, he starts talking in Hindi. You know, usually we are taught that we should speak only in English in the interview, but now the interviewer himself is speaking in Hindi. एंड ही सेज, मैंने अगर अंदर नहीं बुलाया रहता तो क्या बाहर ही खड़ा रहता तू? And I was little surprised, like why is he asking such kind of question, like and well, the obvious answer was yes. So I just said, yes sir, I would have stood outside unless you would have asked me to come inside. So then he said, "Acha, क्यों?" So I just said that this is your cabin, and that if unless you want me to come inside, I should not be getting inside. So right away he says, "But ये मेरा केबिन नहीं है, मैं तो सिर्फ आज आके बैठा हूँ ना यहाँ पे, ये तो तेरे कॉलेज का केबिन है, यहाँ पे तो तू रोज आता है तेरे टीचर्स से मिलने के लिए, तो फिर आज क्यों नहीं आ सकता तू?" So that time I just thought for a moment, and I only replied that, "Sir, at this point, you are sitting on that side of the table, and I am on this side, so I have to wait for you to answer. That's all." And then he says, "अच्छा, तो मतलब अगर मैं टेबल के उस साइड आ जाता हूँ, तो फिर मुझे तेरे से परमिशन लेनी पड़ेगी क्या?" And I was really stressed. I only said, "Maybe, sir. I'm not sure about that." And then I immediately right away asked, "Sir, may I sit?" So then he says, "अच्छा तो मतलब मैं बैठने नहीं बोलूँगा, तू बैठेगा भी नहीं, but sit down, बैठ जाओ, बैठ जाओ." And that is how the interview started. By that time, I was, well, I was shaking. I am sure that I wasn't showing it to him, but I really know that I was stressed because this was the first time I was facing someone in an interview who is speaking Hindi, who belongs to a company wherein I really, really want to join. Like it's my dream job after completing my engineering. But so far it wasn't going really good क्योंकि मुझे देखते से ही it seemed कि उन लोगों का मूड खराब है. And then he asked me about myself to explain whatever was given in the resume, which I did. And then he stops me suddenly. And then again he starts in Hindi. और उन्होंने मुझे एक नोटपैड सरकाया and he says इस पे खुद के बारे में लिखो और at the same time बोल के बताओ खुद के बारे में. So I started writing and I was looking up. So something like, my name is Akhilesh Dehadra. I am this many years old, blah blah blah, and so on. So in the whole process, what I was doing is looking down for a moment and then looking up, looking down for a moment and then again looking up. And then he stopped me. Like after three, four sentences, he just stopped me. "Ruk, ruk, ruk. Like, do you know what you are looking like? आपको पता है आप कैसे लग रहे हो?" And I was like, I mean, I didn't understand the whole context. What does it mean कि मैं कैसे लग रहा हूँ? He said, "You are looking like someone, वो जो बल्ब होता है ना शादियों में, गाँव में शादी होती है, वहाँ पे एक बल्ब होता है जो चालू बंद होते रहता है. You are looking like that. आप सामने बैठ के ऐसे लिख रहे हो दो शब्द और ऊपर देख रहे हो, ऊपर देख रहे हो, नीचे देख रहे हो. ऐसे आप क्लाइंट से पेश आओगे. Is this how you would present yourself to the client when you are sitting in a meeting room? You are discussing, आपको points निकालने हैं, important points meeting room में, और आप उस client को एक second देखोगे, फिर नीचे देखोगे, फिर ऊपर देखोगे, फिर नीचे. This is how you would present to the client. And I really did not have an answer at that time, but I only said that I'll ensure that I work on this particular skill, and I will make sure that I can multitask. मैं ये ensure करूँगा कि मैं multitask कर सकूँ. And then he says okay. And then he asks, लोग बाहर क्या बोल रहे हैं मेरे बारे में? Give me an honest answer, Akhilesh. So I was a little stressed to answer honestly. To be like, I'll be very honest, I was like little bit scared क्योंकि आपको पता है कि इंटरव्यू से आने के बाद बच्चे क्या बोलते हैं and what happens and there is no limit. But then I decided that honesty is the best policy. If that is what has helped us throughout our life, let us go ahead with that. And I mentioned to him कि आपके बारे में लोग ये बोल रहे हैं कि आप रोडीज के रघु हो. And that was the case because the guy who was interviewing, he was bald, like he didn't have any hair on his head, he was very short. तो उनका जो appearance था overall, it was like जो रोडीज पे रघु आते हैं. So like that. So I just told him कि सब आपको रोडीज का रघु बोल रहे हैं. और ये भी बोल रहे हैं कि आप बहुत स्ट्रेसफुल इंटरव्यू ले रहे हैं और अगर आपके पास गए तो सिलेक्शन तो होना ही नहीं है. सो देन ही स्टार्टेड शाउटिंग कि रोडीज का रघु क्या होता है, रोडीज का रघु मेरे से सीखा है, मैं इतने सालों से इंटरव्यू ले रहा हूँ, वो तो उसने शो अभी चालू किया है एंड ऑल दिस थिंग्स. एंड आई रियली डोंट नो हाउ टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू दैट कि हाँ आप रोडीज के रघु से भी बदतर इंटरव्यू ले रहे हैं और आप अच्छे से पेश नहीं आ रहे हैं एंड यू वांट माय सर्टिफिकेट ऑन दैट. I was just smiling that, yeah, okay, I will convey it to my, other friends. And then he said, okay, convey this to your friends. But it seems that, this interview is not going really well. तो आप एक काम करो, आप आपका रेज्यूमे लो और बाजू के केबिन में चले जाओ. आपको तो पता है कि वो जो एचआर है, ही इज आस्किंग वेरी सिंपल क्वेश्चंस, राइट? और उसका मतलब ही इज लीनियंट काइंड ऑफ गाय, तो वो आपका कर लेगा सिलेक्शन, आप जाओ. Now, after all these things had happened and because that job was so important, मैं जितना भी प्रिपेयर करके गया था कि मैं नहीं डरूंगा या फिर मैंने रात रात भर बैठकर पढ़ाई की है तो एक इंटरव्यू क्या चीज़ है एंड all that had actually, all that was out of window, totally out of the window. मैं सिर्फ यही सोच रहा था कि मैं सही में रेज्यूमे उठा लूँ अभी और बाजू के केबिन में चले जाऊँ, so that this all ends, this guy can feel better, और जो बाजू का एचआर है, he will ensure that I get placed. I was sure कि I would be able to crack his questions the way my friends had mentioned. But then those are the split seconds of stress that you have to make those decisions. Or I decided that time that no, I will continue. This is where I landed. I should continue with this particular person. and I should ensure that I crack the interview with him only. And then till like he offered me that option 2 3 times, and then finally he said that okay, if you do not want to get selected, I cannot help. He kept my resume and he said, "आप जाओ, आप जाइए बाहर." That's how the interview ended, and the results were out at 2 a.m. or so in the night, and I was selected. So that was the time I actually first time that I understood that what real stress looks like, and it is way worse in a project, because वहाँ पर लोग स्टूडेंट्स के लिए या प्रोफेशनल्स की सर्विसेज के लिए डायरेक्ट पे कर रहे हैं। क्लाइंट्स ये बोलने से भी नहीं हिचकिचाते हैं इंडिया में मीटिंग में कि आपको इतना पैसा देके क्या फ़ायदा है। This is what they will say to the entire team of 10 people, 15 people who is sitting there, and they would simply mention कि आपको इतना पैसा देके फ़ायदा ही नहीं ना अगर आप डिलीवर नहीं कर सकते तो। At that time, these students or these professionals should be able to deal. There are even comments directly passed कि ये एप्लीकेशन कैसा है यार, कितना घटिया है, ये तो हमारा पुराना एप्लीकेशन अच्छा था। So quickly I'll give you another example. I was working in the treasury department. So I was implementing a treasury product. तो हमारा जो जो भी पैसा कोर बैंकिंग में जाता है बैंक के ब्रांचेस में, इट इज़ फर्दर इन्वेस्टेड इन मार्केट बाय ट्रेजरी डीलर्स ऑफ ईच ऑफ द बैंक्स. So we use our product used to capture all those deals from the market कि फॉरेक्स में जो करेंसी ट्रेडिंग की है या फिर जो शेयर्स उन्होंने ट्रेड किया उसका उसको वो कैप्चर करके उस पर जो अकाउंटिंग पास होती है वो जनरेट करो और रिपोर्ट्स जनरेट करो। तो हमारे ही प्रोडक्ट में ये स्टोर होता था कि बैंक के पास कितना अमाउंट है, उस अमाउंट में से कितना उन लोगों ने ऑलरेडी ट्रेड कर दिया है और कितना अमाउंट उन लोगों के पास पेंडिंग है ट्रेड करने के लिए। सो व्हेन इट इज अ बैंक्स ट्रेजरी, एक एक डील 500 करोड़ की होती थी। ठीक है, दैट इज व्हाट वी यूज्ड टू सी इन आवर रिपोर्ट्स एंड इन द डील्स दैट वर बीइंग एब्जॉर्ब्ड बाय आवर एप्लीकेशन। तो कई बार ऐसा होता था कि जो चीफ डीलर है वो डीलर डीलिंग रूम से बाहर आकर हमारे बाजू में खड़े हो जाते थे और वो ये बोलते थे कि मेरी 700 करोड़ की डील पेंडिंग है, वो आपके सिस्टम में नहीं आई है, उसकी वजह से मेरे पास कितना पैसा है वो मुझे एग्जैक्टली पता नहीं चल रहा है, और मेरे वहाँ पे 10 क्लाइंट रुके हुए हैं, दे आर आस्किंग फटाफट बताओ क्या करना है। एंड दिस इज समथिंग दैट हैपेंड टू मी व्हेन आई हैड ओनली कंप्लीटेड 9 months इन माय कंपनी। मेरी पहली कंपनी में जब मैंने 9 महीने कंप्लीट किए थे और मैं मुंबई में आया था जॉब के लिए बैंक में, दिस वाज समथिंग दैट आई हैड फेस्ड। एंड दैट इज व्हेन आई रियलाइज्ड कि स्टूडेंट लाइफ में जो स्ट्रेस होता है कि हम लोगों को असाइनमेंट करना है एंड ऑल, दैट डज नॉट हैव एनी प्रैक्टिकलिटी टू इट। इट इज ओनली अ नेसेसिटी कि बस इतना करना है तो उसको करो। स्टूडेंट्स नेवर एक्चुअली एक्सपीरियंस दिस काइंड ऑफ स्ट्रेस कि उसमें क्या जवाब देने हैं या फिर उस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम में कैसे प्रेजेंस ऑफ माइंड हम लोगों को इंश्योर करना है। So it is really important that through projects in colleges, lecturers should help students to realize what stress actually means. Okay, another really important. आपको लगता है कि आपके स्टूडेंट्स टाइम पे असाइनमेंट्स कंप्लीट करते हैं? I think simple yes and question, please. You can give your answers in the chat box. क्या आपको लगता है कि yes, they do not. Thank you, sir. Okay, so we have Professor Patil saying yes. Okay, this is like a mixed response. Okay, Amita ma'am is sure that they definitely don't do it. Yes, and yeah, mostly no. I think so. Basically, on a scale of 1 to 5, we are rating that they stand somewhere like 2 or 3 when it comes to submitting something on time. Just like stress, it is happening because they are not informed about the relevance of time, and that is the attitude they carry into the companies. कंपनी में जब आते हैं और उन लोगों को हम लोग ये टास्क देते हैं कि यू हैव टू कंप्लीट दिस इन 2 days और 3 days, द फर्स्ट चैलेंज दे फेस इज इंटरपर्सनल स्किल, सो दे डू नॉट कम एंड रिपोर्ट कि सर और मैम हम लोगों को ये पर्टिकुलर चीज़ समझ में नहीं आ रही है, वी नीड मोर इनपुट्स फ्रॉम यू। जब वो नहीं करते हैं तो दे आर नॉट एबल टू कंप्लीट देयर टास्क। एट द सेम टाइम दे दे डू नॉट इवन कम विद इन टाइम। कि अगर 3 दिन है तो व्हाट दे विल डू इज दे विल वेट टिल 2 days और 2.5 days, और जब कोई आके उनके लैपटॉप पे चेक करता है कि ओके जरा दिखाओ कितना हो गया है, दैट इज द टाइम दे रिवील कि नहीं हम लोगों को थोड़ा सा ये करना है एंड इट विल टेक अनदर 2 days। एंड दैट इज वेयर 10 लोगों की टीम होगी बट एक बच्चे ने नहीं किया है तो पूरा का पूरा प्रोजेक्ट डिले हो जाता है, एंड दैट इज वेयर म्यूचुअल अकाउंटेबिलिटी ऑल्सो गोज डाउन द ड्रेन। सो बेसिकली बाकी लोगों ने कितना भी काम किया हो, कितना भी स्ट्रेस मैनेज किया हो, कितना भी हार्ड एफर्ट्स डाले हो, कितने भी एफर्ट्स डाले हो उसमें, just because few team members could not manage their time properly and they could not mention what challenges they are facing, that is the whole reason delivery gets delayed and the client right away charges fine। और ये जो फाइन का भी कल्चर था, लेट मी जस्ट से दैट इट माइट सीम कि नहीं हर टाइम डिले होते ही रहता है, बट they do not actually fine, but this has now increased in the market because of the again startup culture. Startups are charging clients very high client, but in return client expects a level of quality in their delivery and ensuring कि time manage होना चाहिए, time meet होना चाहिए। and the same thing happens within that company also कि company हमारे उनके employees से ये expect करती है that they deliver on time because they have hired them at higher packages। so it is basically a chain कि client expect करता है इसीलिए कंपनी एक्सपेक्ट करती है इसीलिए बच्चों का एक्सपेक्टेशन बढ़ जाता है, लाइक द एक्सपेक्टेशंस फ्रॉम द किड्स और द स्टूडेंट्स इज वेरी हाई। सो आई थिंक वी शुड put them in situations wherein the stakes are really high। अगर वो किसी प्रोजेक्ट में काम करते हैं, that is the time they would understand कि okay what is the importance of this time management, why all these milestones are really important। कि हम लोग जब बोलते हैं कि 1 महीने में सबमिट करना है तो ऐसा नहीं कि लास्ट मोमेंट पे जाके ये करना है और सबमिट करना है, एंड दैट कैन ओनली हैपन थ्रू प्रोजेक्ट्स। बिकॉज जब आप असाइनमेंट देते हैं तो लास्ट मोमेंट दे कैन कॉपी इट फ्रॉम इंटरनेट और दे कैन कॉपी इट फ्रॉम मेनी मेनी अदर सोर्सेस, but when they are working on an actual project they have to follow the procedure, and that is when they realize what is the importance of time management। The last one I think is change management। I think engineers these days are really good with change management। आई थिंक बट दैट इज समथिंग फ्रॉम पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस, क्योंकि हम लोग काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें ऐसी सीखते हैं, और जो मैंने बोला दैट व्हेन दीज स्टूडेंट्स आर एक्चुअली जॉइनिंग द कंपनी द एक्सपेक्टेशन इज ऑल टुगेदर डिफरेंट। दे कम अप विथ विथ एन एटीट्यूड कि हम लोगों को आता है, हमारा सिलेक्शन तो हो गया है, एंड सम ऑफ देम आर रियली शायद दैट दे स्टिल सेल्फ डाउट कि हम लोगों को सही में आता है, बट लाइक आता है क्या, सिलेक्शन कैसे हो गया। बट देन when they are put on the job then they realize कि यार हम लोगों से एक्सपेक्टेशन तो बहुत बहुत अलग है, and then they try to adapt। but why this happens is they do not have much exposure to change, and they fail to understand that they cannot keep up with the changing technology also। So there was a time कि जब Java boom में था, like within last 10-15 years now that has changed, and अब तो बहुत fast change हो रहा है। Couple of years back we had Python and then R, and now there are ETL tools that are coming up। These are just examples from IT industry, even in other industries the same thing is happening, pretty sure। So students should be actually exposed to change। उन लोगों को ये पता होना चाहिए कि हम लोगों ने एक लेवल ऑफ एफर्ट्स डालने के बाद जब रिक्वायरमेंट चेंज हो जाती है तो हाउ टू डू दैट जॉब विथ अ स्माइल, क्योंकि जॉब करना तो है। क्लाइंट ने अगर सर्विसेज हायर की है तो उन्होंने रिजल्ट के लिए हायर किया है, उन्होंने इसके लिए हायर नहीं किया है कि दिस इज हाउ समथिंग विल बी डिलीवर्ड, दे हैव हायर्ड फॉर द रिजल्ट। और अब अगर क्लाइंट बोलता है कि नहीं आप ये नहीं कर सकते हो तो 10 लोग लाइन में खड़े हैं जो क्लाइंट के हिसाब से काम करके देंगे। सो यू हैव टू एंश्योर दैट द जॉब इज डन एट द सेम टाइम, it is done with a smile and with a positive attitude, so that the client will consult this particular vendor again, and again the face of the vendor are these kids, because they are these days directly interacting with the client in many situations. तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि एफर्ट्स डालने के बाद जब चेंज आता है कोई रिक्वायरमेंट में, दैट स्टूडेंट शुड बी एबल टू ग्रास्प एंड देन कंप्लीट दैट पर्टिकुलर जॉब इन टाइम. इट इज स्मार्ट. So let us talk about solutions. Basically, I also have another session in FDP wherein I'll be getting deep dive into how projects can be run. But so I actually wanted to use this particular session to establish a platform to help faculty understand that what is the requirement of the market, or what is it that companies are expecting out of the students. But of course, we will like, this is not in our habits that we won't talk about solutions. We are very habituated to talk about solutions. That is what our job is. So how this can be achieved, how all these qualities can be ensured within a particular student. So we suggest that instead of assignment, start launching projects. It is really important that students develop, or they have an overall understanding of the working of a project since their college time, so that when they are grasped into the companies, they can really perform to the level of their expectation. They should be able to communicate with people with different culture. They should be able to communicate with people with different kind of expertise. And now if you see, there are private players who are claiming that they will teach coding to students at the age of 16. So our students will be competing, with a mix of with students with mixed background. Some who have learned all these coding techniques since their childhood, some who are just learning now, or some who are not even interested in learning, but they are interested in altogether different things. But you still have to work with them and ensure that you are delivering. So students will come up with all these situations, and it is required that they develop their overall personality as such. So also there is another factor that metro cities, which are are IT hub like Pune, Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, or even Kerala. So all these places, there are IT hub and there is a lot of exposure. But we have to ensure that our students should be able to compete at national level. So how this can be done? Then we should put them in real time scenarios. They should actually work on projects which will help them launch websites which are actually working, wherein they can log in and actually go on the website and see. They should try to launch applications which have complex functionalities. Then something we call high volume data processing these days. So all these concepts which are new in the market, which are in demand in the market, students should be able to work in these projects instead of assignments. And then that is the time that they would stop completing their assignments at the last moment. That is the time they would have to actually work on daily basis, not only like weekly basis or on weekends. They will have to work on daily basis with different students to ensure that their projects are completed. Another part, then if we are launching projects, then what is it that we should look for? What all are the important stages that a particular student should go through, or faculty members should ensure that students should go through these particular uh, stages. So first is requirement gathering and gap analysis. I think requirement gathering and gap analysis is a really important point right now, because that is where most of the things are failing. Requirements are changing very fast. There is less time to even draft that, and to meet the understanding, like what is the gap between the current product and the previous product. That analysis also needs to be done. And accept it or not, This is being done by not seniors but also by a lot of the students who are directly hired. So we have a lot of students who are placed in telecom companies like Airtel, and when they go and represent us, client directly interacts with them. वो लोग उनको डायरेक्ट रिक्वायरमेंट बताते हैं कि ऐसा ऐसा है और ये करना है, and they should be able to understand what is being at least said in the meeting, so that if needed they can go to a senior and then mention that this is what was mentioned in the meeting, and this is what my understanding is from that particular meeting. So is that correct? At least that much understanding they should go through. So it is important that they go through the requirement gathering and gap analysis phase. Then the next should be plan and strategize. So client will only give problem statement. Similarly, I think lecturers or faculty should only give requirements. They should only provide the problem statement, that let's say we want to develop a particular application for library which should have these 10 functionalities. That's it. They should not be talking about how to do that and what is the best possible way and all. This should be done by the students. They should plan and strategize their solution, because when we go and pitch our solution, we do not go with just one solution. We at least have two or three solutions based on the based on our experience, based on clients requirement which we think might exist. And after that we go and seek approvals from them, that okay, these are the things that we can actually implement, or these are the approaches we can implement, and if you approve any of this thing, then we will go and implement it. So that is how I think students also should come up with different kind of plans, and then they should go to the faculty and seek for their approval, that is this how you would want to do. And then faculties can answer that if you take this approach, it might take you 6 months, but if you use this particular approach, then it will require maybe 3 months. So something like that. So this is how students understand that they need to look for approvals, and it is not like they will just keep on implementing something and expect the client or expect the faculty to just accept it. Then comes the implementation. So once approval is received from faculty, students should start working on their project or product, and then they should test and deliver. So after implementation is completed, it is not like they just take it and try to run it on the first day right in front of the faculty. That is not how it works. They should treat faculty as if they are clients, because they are the one who are offering the projects. So they should test in detail and then deliver. Once it is delivered, they should be taught how to self-assess, that why it took, instead of 6 months, it took 8 months. Then why is it? Where is it that 2 months are gone? Was it because of the technology that they worked on, or was it because there was communication gap, or was it because they did not manage their time properly? Was it because there were too many things to do and they could not manage it because of the stress that they had? So all these things should be done in self-assessment. And in those cases, even if a project, in that process, if a project is left out, like say out of 10 functionalities, only 5 or 6 are met, even then it is worth, because the student now has gone through all these phases and they have an overall personality development done. Now they know when they sit in a meeting how to speak up, how to mention that they do not understand something, how to not be hesitant about things, how to be proactive, how to work in a team with a positive attitude. So even if a project is completed with limited success, would be lot better compared to just delivering the assignments. So before we enter into some few more concepts which might help during all these projects phase, are there any questions to the from the faculty that has joined us today? All the phases that we mentioned, or the suggestion that we have, that instead of assignments there should be projects launched.
Attendees are requested to unmute and interact directly with the guest speaker. You can feel free to unmute yourself and directly, share your experience or raise your queries. and talk to the guest speaker. In case if you are not very, in case if you are not very comfortable to unmute yourself, you can always share your experience by writing in the chat box. Well, I guess sir, there are no queries, so maybe we can.
So there is this concept of war room we follow. War room is a room or a meeting room that is formed usually for complex challenges. Some this concept I think can be really well implemented in colleges as well when students are trying to solve their projects or they are able, they are working on their projects. When we have a complex problem which seems to be, bugging the whole team for long and it does not seem that it would be solved within time, that is the time that all the resources are pulled together and they do not exit that particular war room unless that particular issue is resolved. And believe me, people actually stay in that office for three days in a row. I have myself worked into implementation, and during the implementation, it has happened that I received I received a call from my brother, and he just asked that, dude, it's been like 2 3 days, and you haven't called or anything. Is everything fine? And then I realized that I totally forgot to call them because I was in the office for 3 continuous days. We were just working in ensuring that the implementation is smooth. So war room is a concept wherein you get into a room and you do not, go out of that office or those premises unless and until the actual problem is resolved. And of course, there is an organized way how to work on this is we first try to determine what the actual problem statement is. So something that is seen might be just a symptom, that not that that's not the disease. It could be just a symptom. So we just try to first analyze where does the exact problem lie. Then we come up with all the possible solutions and whatever impact those solutions might cause. So every kind of solution will have some kind of impact. We call it impact analysis. So we try to determine the possible solution and we come up with all the impact analysis documents. We of course try to think out of the box if there is a quick way to fix this particular problem. Then we try and understand that whatever solutions we are looking at, whether those can be achieved with technical abilities. So basically something, कि सिर्फ कोडिंग में चेंज किया या फिर सिर्फ जो हम लोगों ने स्पेसिफिकेशंस यूज किए हैं टूल्स के वो चेंज किया तो फिक्स होगा, और वेदर द प्रोडक्ट इटसेल्फ नीड्स टू बी चेंज, और वेदर इट इज़ द पीपल. कई बार ऐसा होता है कि रिक्वायरमेंट क्लाइंट साइड पे पर्सन ए देता है बट देन क्वालिटी में पर्सन बी बैठा है और उनका अंडरस्टैंडिंग क्लियर नहीं है, and that is why we are facing this challenge. So whether the challenge actually lies in dealing with different people or whether it is the procedural. So it is like we have the solution, but because process is taking too much time or the process is altogether different than what we assume, if that is the reason, and after that we come up to a solution. After that we declare a solution and then we start following it. So I think this kind of concepts can be very easily implemented by all the faculties in their colleges. I think that is what we saw about what solution can be taken up. Now we'll just try and understand that what all market opportunities are there, which are actually colleges opportunities, or I would say faculties opportunity these days. So when we talk about mechanical, machine learning is definitely artificial intelligence or automation that is present in any of the industries that is there. All these are having big opportunities, and companies are really looking forward to that students with a particular caliber or a particular technical skill set, and the other skill sets that we mentioned like time management, teamwork and all these things, they should come up so that companies can readily absorb these students into the projects directly. Apart from this, we are seeing how journalism, law, food industry, everything is changing. Everyone is taking use of e-commerce. Everyone is making use of automation and all these such concepts, and ensuring that they are running ahead in their competition. So when they want to run ahead in their competition, they want their vendors to perform better. If vendor wants to perform better, they need to have a good quality of students that can be hired from the colleges. I think each time we go through this, we come and establish this one thing, that the students coming out of college should be, you know, having a particular level of development done and project experience within their college days. So that helps the companies, and that is when the companies will be ready to pay them more. So when we say that there is an X factor required, many might feel that this is just for the sessions purpose or so, but this is the reality right now. When we go to hire, we do not go and just hire freshers. कि okay 10 बच्चों को hire किया है and then we'll train them in different areas. When we go, we are looking for specific skills. We are looking who is good in communication, who is good in being proactive, who can become a good team leader, who actually has really good technical skill sets worth hiring for. And that is how we are able to fix our goals of business analysts, be it consultants, or data engineers or data scientists. Based on the interviews that we take, we try to even understand whether a student actually understands the data. So we try to give them different scenarios and try and understand whether that student can actually make sense out of that data, whether he can actually understand what we are trying to say, and if yes, only then that particular student is suitable for our requirement of being a data engineer. So this is the reality, and it is across all different departments or different streams of the jobs. So implementation experts is also another example of that. Implementation experts are someone just like techno-functional professionals or business analysts. They should have a level of technical understanding. At the same time, they should have an understanding of what is the requirement in the project, because these are the people who reach the site, who implement the product or the system, whatever we is part of the project, and these are the people who then deliver it finally to the client. So they should be able to interact well. At the same time, they should have technical abilities also. So this is now what is the reality is becoming, that students are expected to have an overall knowledge and not just the technical skill sets or not just the domain knowledge that we initially saw. So I think to give another example from the data world, because I belong to IT industry, and this is more relevant, or I would be able to put it in more perspective here. These days we have ETL tools. Have we heard? Like, has anyone here heard about ETL tools? Just a simple yes or no. Has anyone heard about ETL tools? No. Okay. Okay, great. So I think this would be interesting for all the faculty then. So ETL tools, my company also works in Ab Initio ETL tool. We are platinum partners with Ab Initio USA Corporation. So ETL tools is a concept that came into being a couple of decades ago. Basically, what started is companies like big companies like, let's say, HDFC, Citibank, Airtel, Vodafone, and all them. They have a huge amount of data. On top of that, they have different departments. जैसे बैंक का data अलग, insurance का अलग, SME का अलग, loans का अलग. All these things are there. Similarly, if we talk about uh, telecom industry, then prepaid is there, postpaid is there, data customers is there, direct to home customers are there. So there is huge amount of data that is being generated in any industry, be it telecom, be it finance, be it payments, be it journalism, or any. The challenge that these companies face was the tools were not good enough to extract this data and generate any kind of information. So this data is lying in different format, in different systems and different applications across the country and across the departments and branches of the company. All this data needs to be brought together. It has to be transformed in such a way that it makes sense to the business, and then it has to be uploaded in some places so that this data can be historically available. So we can sit and look for the information about 6 months ago. So this is when the ETL tools came into being. ETL stands for extract, transform, load. So extract the data from different application, you join it, you transform it and create information out of that data, and then you load it into a system so that that will be available to the domain. So all these opportunities. So like my company has around strength of 250, and I think 200 of them must be working on ETL tools, of which most of them have joined the company as freshers, like they joined as students. So now it is in, like, basically what I'm trying to say is this is the relevance of the market. This is where that if the student has and has exposure in the college itself, that what is ETL, what ETL tools are, or what data means, or how to work in a in particular team, or requirements, how requirements are formed, then they can very easily be absorbed in these particular kinds of jobs. Now, if we keep my company aside, you can see that based on the automation that is there, based on artificial intelligence that is there, machine learning that is there, e-commerce companies that are coming up, you can imagine the number of jobs that these companies are creating. It is huge. It is huge, and they come up with reports that not even 50% or 60% of jobs that a company was, vacancies that a company was looking to fill, they could actually fill. Why? Because they are not able to find candidates in the colleges. And that is when they go for off campus, they go for all different methods, so that they can find good students who can be absorbed on those vacancies. So I think having relevant project, realistic projects with limited functionality than assignments would be really, really helpful. And this is just one example. We have options like data business analysts, data visualizations, the all the charts and all the fancy graphs that we see these days. All those are done based on data visualizations. And this is a big industry. People are getting jobs just on the basis that they have data visualizations, and they can really interact well with the clients. So they can explain whatever graph they have prepared, and they can actually understand what even client is trying to say. So there are a lot of jobs, that techno-functional jobs, which are available in the data visualization industry as well. Similarly, we have data governance, data analysts, and machine learning. All these jobs, they go hand in hand, and there is a huge demand in the market right now. Any questions on any of the slides that we have been through just now?
No, sir, but if you are having any new information, then you can share, please, like data word, like this.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I suppose
Sir,
we can, yeah.
sir, before moving on to the next slide, I had a query that was related to ETL tools you mentioned. And
Okay.
I suppose in ETL tools there are two things. One is ab initio and Informatica. Because I am myself involved into training students for their recruitments. That is the reason I'm like most of the companies when they share as to what are all the skill sets that they want in the students, they will write this word ab initio, but very truly I am not sure as to what ab initio is. Like most of the people I am sure are not very well versed with these terms, and even if we are, we do not understand as to how to provide our students exposure of any of these fields. So if you can, because you have come up with many creative solutions wherein you said that how to conduct projects, assignments should be replaced with projects. In projects, what are all the things are important, like that time management thing, and how why to complete, why to complete the projects in time, what kind of stress we should put on to the students and things like that. So
Yeah.
from that, I would, now I think that if you could some way help us understand as to what can we do to ensure that our students have some exposure of these tools, of any of these tools.
Yeah, when we say projects, it is the first thing that I had mentioned. I used the word not just projects, I used realistic projects. All right. So when you try to come up with realistic projects, that is real time scenarios, that is when you would come up with all these things. Okay, so if you are trying to have a realistic project, when I say, let's say we'll go back to the same example, like developing an application for your library. Okay, so immediately you are coming across data. Then students have to understand how to store this data, where all this data will go. Then they can talk about whether they should go look for big data, or they should look for Oracle, or they should use MySQL to store the data. What kind of database they should be using, or they should just look for files data. Okay. Then let's say you have a UI for that application of library, and you are entering your name and the name of the book that you are referring to. So they just enter it, and when you click on some button, it gives you information whether whether that particular book is available or not. So how this interaction happened? So this interaction happens with the help of APIs. These are programs which will carry your information in those fields and take it to the backend. It will look in that particular database whether that particular book is available or not, and it will respond. So this is what REST API looks like. Another API is like fire and forget. Fire and forget is basically acknowledgement is not seeken. Only we just fire the API, and if we do not get an acknowledgement, that is fine. That is called fire and forget. So when you start working on realistic projects, that is the time you come up with these things. And also you can also liaise with a lot of industry experts. Like even we consult with a lot of people. In fact, in our colleges, and also whenever we get time, we come up. Then there are internships that are being offered. Okay, wherein if colleges come to us, we give them some scenarios, and if they come up with a working product, then we reward those students. So this is how. So you need to have exposure of the market, you need to have experts from the market working with you, and you need to have realistic projects that are there. And only then this kind of terminologies or jargons can be understood. And to be honest, a lot of these things are open source. Yeah. So when we say Tableau, Power BI, and all this, of course they have licensed versions. But if you go to online channels like YouTube and other places, there are a lot of free videos which students can actually learn from. And as coming from an interview panel, I can really ensure you that wherein out of 50 students I interact with, if I find 5 students, who say that, okay, they know basics of Informatica, they have worked on API, or they know how big data actually works, okay, or they have some actual knowledge of big data, some hands-on during their project, those students definitely stand out. Because we know that when you work on big data, one person cannot solely work on big data. There has to be a team. They need to interact with each other. When they come up with a solution, they need to interact with each other. So that is how we analyze these students, whether they are just saying things or whether they actually understand also.
Okay, understood, sir.
Yeah, so I think these terminologies are really important even from interview point of view. If students, can dig deeper and projects can be launched on any of these areas, that also should be really good enough. So taking up a few more examples of, let's say, finance industry. So I had worked in the treasury. So within treasury itself, we have a lot of departments. We have forex department. Apologies for that. We have forex department, we have money market investment management, and so on. So forex department is basically trading currencies. If students basically even have basic understanding of this, that what forex market is about, or what kind of things are involved when a currency is traded, or what kind of details are involved when shares are traded, or how a payment system works. So when we say Swift, yeah, today we very easily sit in one place and make an international payment. How does that happen? Where does that money actually go? So let's say when we speak about making domestic payments with INR, so all the money that we say is first goes to our acquirer, Then acquirer will send it to the bank confirms that this much amount is present with that particular person. Then it goes to the clearing corporation of India. Clearing corporation India is the one which actually debits and credits the account and confirms to the bank. Then bank sends an acknowledgement to our cell saying that okay, this much amount has been debited. So this is just one department. Then RTGS is for is there, SWIFT is there for international payment, and then there is whole payment network. In all the chain that I just now spoke, there were so many applications that interacted with each other. The bank's application, acquirer. When I say acquirer, it's like Mastercard or Visa, the card that you own. Then the POS machine, just on which you swipe your card. Then CCIL's system is involved. So all these payment network or different applications are involved which are interacting with each other. So all these people, they require jobs. All these people are sitting in the market and they are offering jobs. All they require is students should have some basic understanding and they should be able to perform in a team. Then there are like front office, mid office, back office. There are jobs in auditors which are highly valued jobs. There are jobs in legal, core banking, and when I say all these names, these are not for experienced people. Even students from colleges are hired because when companies visit, they visit colleges these days with something in mind that this guy or this particular student would be suitable for this particular profile because they have those particular traits in their personality. So finance, just like data world, was another example. Data world, I would say, is everywhere present today. Finance is more from the domain perspective. So I wanted to put two examples, one from the data world, which is technical and everywhere, and finance also is everywhere in all the departments, but it comes from a domain background, something like that. So any questions on the finance? Okay.
No, sir.
Okay. So I'm not sure if all these things have overwhelmed when we many people are talking about that there are no jobs in the market. COVID has impacted us and all. That is not, well, it is true to very small extent. Fact is companies want to hire. In fact, companies do not think only about their immediate requirements. They want to invest for future also. So they want to hire because they would use this time to ensure that they are building a workforce so that when market opens, when the markets will be overwhelmed with requirements, they should be able to meet those requirements. So even art world is an opportunity like that. What you are seeing on the screen is someone I really know, and she works in the art world. When I say art world, uh, she is into nail painting and mehendi and all these things, and she is consulted for many major weddings and cleared her engineering last year itself. But even during her engineering, she was already earning. And how she did that? Not purely talent, of course talent is required, but then she knew how to ensure that her media presence is there, that she should be present on LinkedIn, she should be present on Instagram, wherein clients can look at her all the talent and they can approach her. When the clients approached her, she was in a position to deal with them professionally and mention that what would be the rates of those particular mehendi ceremonies and all those things. And that is how she started earning. And if we see all the YouTubers that are coming up, all the people coming up on TikTok, all these are actually not only paid by advertisers that are put on their channel on those applications, but are being hired by many other companies. Say if someone is conducting spoken English classes on YouTube, they are hired by a lot of companies which want to do advertising, and they need a voiceover. That okay, we have advertisement for a mobile and we need a voiceover, and your English is quite good, your voice also looks good, so would you consult with us? So even the art world is expanding very fast, and the opportunities are also limitless, because this is somewhere students are directly exposed to a big world. there are a lot of consumers for this world. Once they come on YouTube, once they come on LinkedIn and Insta, there are a lot of people who are absorbing or consuming this kind of information and all this kind of talent. So this is another area, or I would say stream, wherein colleges can come up with actual projects. These can actually benefit the colleges as well as the student. Let's say launching the college website or improving the college website, which is already present there. Even if that kind of project is launched, this, at the end of the project, student can mention they have worked on a website which is working, and colleges also can directly benefit from them, that they have a website which is very trendy, because the students these days have developed it. So this is just another example of artwork. So I think I'm almost done with the session. If there are any questions throughout the session, any of the points, please unmute yourself, or you can ask in the chat also. Okay, so I'll just have a quick recap. We understood what future of Indian market looks like. What is the current position? How the bare minimum has changed from basic technical skill sets to skill set which requires interpersonal skills, time management, stress management, change management, teamwork, all these things, and how these can be achieved with the help of projects. We also took a look at the opportunities that are currently present, and definitely market has lot of jobs for the students. It is only matter of fact that students should rise up and take all these opportunities that are there for them. That's all. Thanks a lot, Abhijit sir. I think with this I conclude my session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Very nice session.
Thanks a lot, Patel sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Akhilesh sir. I guess it was, it was a really nice session wherein it was, I suppose that the way it was different from most of the sessions that we attend is that it was not only about what are all the industrial trends, but apart from that, you also covered as to how all of these things can be easily implemented in the colleges as well. So the more focus on projects and what are all the things that we should include in the projects. So thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful session and a very informative session. We already have your feedback from the client, from our attendees. Naina Bhusle ma'am is writing very informative session, sir. Thank you. Nikhil Lal sir is writing. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session. Shama ma'am is writing. Thank you, sir. All in all, on behalf of the London Institute of Technology and on behalf of organizing committee of this faculty development program, I thank you very much for sparing time out of your busy schedule and accepting our invitation. So we are also looking forward to attend one more session from wherein you have what can I say? You have promised us that you will be conducting one more session on coaching and mentoring in engineering education.
Yeah.
So we are looking forward to attend that session as well. And thank you so much, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for having me. Thank you a lot for all your kind feedback.
So all the faculty members and all the attendees are requested to fill in the feedback form, which will be shared shortly on the WhatsApp group. And in case if you have any queries or any doubts, those can be resolved if you call our co-coordinator, sir, Professor Sunil Kuntawar, sir, or you can call Professor Ashish Manusmane, sir, in case of any queries. If you are not in the WhatsApp group, you can let me know right away in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and tell me directly, so that I can add you in the WhatsApp group. Just in case if you're not in the WhatsApp group, we will be sharing the link to join tomorrow's session on the same WhatsApp group tomorrow morning as usual, and we will resume our session tomorrow at 2 p.m. It is a humble request to all of you to join the session by 1:50 p.m. so that we can start the session by 2 p.m. sharp. Usually, it is the case that most of the expert speakers they join the session in time. However, we have to wait for the faculty members to join in, which does not create a very positive impression. Therefore, it is a humble request for all of you to join us by 1:50 p.m. so that we can start the session at 2 p.m. sharp. So Having said that, on behalf of Ballarpur Institute of Technology and on behalf of organizing committee of this faculty development program, thank you all the attendees for an interactive session. And I now declare that this session is concluded for today, and we will meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. As scheduled. And and in case of any queries, you can always contact us. Thank you so much. The feedback form will be shared shortly, and the feedback form remains open only till 11 p.m. tonight. So please fill in the feedback form before that. Thank you so much.